Hello, I am here live to chat with you guys a little bit about building confidence and socializing or socialization from home during this coronavirus outbreak. I know a lot of us can't leave our homes. We're either not feeling it safe because of high risk. Some of us are high risk or we are caretakers for high risk family members. Depending on where you live in the country or in the world, you may not even be allowed to go out. So we're getting lots of questions about how to make the most of your training from home. So what we're going to talk about today in this first live that I'm going to do a handful of these over the next week or so, is building confidence and socialization when you can't leave your house. Now, this is especially important for puppies, although I think that it's relevant for all dogs of all ages, especially because if you are, at home a lot like me nowadays, it's very possible your dog is going a little bit stir crazy, and we want to keep our dog's confidence going and our socialization going. Even though we can't get out. But like I said, it's especially important, I think, for our puppies. So if anybody has a puppy or an adolescent, so a puppy under the age of 16 weeks or even an adolescent dog up to the age of 2, ongoing socialization is really important. And I know that it's hard to do that when we can't get out. I'm just double checking something, so that's why I look like I'm multitasking here for a second. Okay, so I have a handful of tips for you today that I want to get through. I'm going to show some videos, but we've got some different stuff to talk about. Now, socialization is, of course, for me, it is about building, it's not just about exposing our puppies to as many places and people and other dogs as we can, although that's a part of it. I certainly want my puppies to be social and to be social with people and other dogs, but a huge part of socialization, which is what we're talking about today, is confidence with novel experiences. Right? So what we want our puppies and adolescent and service dog and any service dog of any age to be confident and optimistic when they come across new things in public, different surfaces, different sights, different smells, all that kind of stuff. So what the goal here is from home is to build positive, novel experiences, even from your home. And this is something that, ideally, we can get out and we can introduce our puppy to new places and people and things, but sometimes we can't, like right now. So that's what we're talking about today, is how to create these kind of novel experiences right from our home. Now, the first tip the first idea that I have for you, which I don't have a video of, it's the only one I don't have a video of, is going to be pre-recorded noises. So YouTube is really, really great for this. You can find a recording of any sound that you can possibly think of on YouTube. So traffic, sirens, fireworks, thunderstorms, crowds, concerts, all of that stuff is a really great thing to start introducing your dog to right away and from home in a very controlled setting. And it's very easy for you to do. So what I recommend you do is you find, these different recordings. You can use, there are different sources. I just go to YouTube. And I like to play these noises. Like I said, this is the only one I don't have a video of. I like to play these noises while my dogs eat. So what I might do is play a video of fireworks, for example, on a low enough level that it does not stress my dog out. That's the key piece here, is you start playing the recordings at a low enough volume that your dog is totally comfortable with it. So I play the recording and then I give them their dinner, and while they're eating, they hear the noise, and then when they're done eating, I turn the recording off. And then maybe during the next time, I have the volume up just a little bit more and just a little bit more. So the key is to start with the volume nice and low and slowly build the volume over time. And I like to do that with especially things like fireworks and thunderstorms and gunshots that are hard to control and expose my dogs to in any other way. But while you can't get out right now, this is a really great way to introduce your dog to the sounds of sirens, to the sounds of crowds, all of those different sounds. That's kind of my first one for you, and it's one I don't have a video of, right? Okay, so another one that I love is teaching my dogs is just finding different things for my dog to walk on in the house. Okay, so real quick, if you have questions, throw them in, and sometimes I'll ask them or answer them as we go. Sometimes I'll save them for the end. Carolyn asks, can I play a video of a dog barking, and hopefully my dog will leave barking dogs alone? Right now, it makes them nervous, and he barks and backs up no matter the distance. You could, but that's a little bit different than what I'm talking about doing this way. So with that, you're going to want to definitely look into formal counter conditioning and formal Yeah, formal classical conditioning and formal counter conditioning to do that in a little bit more of a formal and systematic fashion, even than what I just mentioned. Okay, so the next thing that I have for you is walking on different surfaces. Now, this is something that you can really easily do at home. So here's my little terrier, Izzy, and she has she's actually quite an anxious little dog herself, but, and I just have various different things out for her to walk on. So we've got some plastic bags, I've got a yoga mat, I've got a paper bag, we've got the blanket in the back, and I'm just clicking and reinforcing her for walking on them. So you can also use, I've had people, bubble wrap, aluminum foil, cardboard boxes, anything that is safe for your dog to walk on, you can have them do in this fashion. Now, the key here again is, like I said, we're trying to create positive, novel experiences. Both of those words are important. We want positive experiences, and we're looking for novelty or new experiences. So if you pull something out for your dog to walk on and they're nervous about it, then we need to work them through that slowly and carefully, because the key here is to, like I said, positive, novel experiences. Both of those words are important. So if at any time during one of these exercises your dog starts to look a little bit worried, we want to figure out how to make the exercise easier for them. And I'll kind of show you guys an example of that here in a minute. But so walking on different surfaces is one I love. So this is one indoors. Here's an example of Leo when he was a puppy this summer walking on some mulch bags and this baby gate here. And in his situation, I just kind of dropped the treats on. This is very informal, right? I'm just trying to create a good experience. So I just kind of dropped the treats on the bags and let him walk over them. So they're going to move around. They're going to feel different. They're going to make little noises. Walking on this baby gate is a good one. Shelly just threw in the comments, the packaging paper from Chewy is awesome. That's a great idea. So you're just kind of, like I said, looking for any of these things in your home, on your property, that you can pull out and safely teach your dog to just walk on and create a positive experience with it. This is one exercise that I absolutely love. I do this consistently with puppies. And the good news is that you can do this right from your home. Now, with a puppy, I really recommend you only do, I shoot for 1 or 2 new experiences a day. I don't want you to throw all of these things at a new puppy right all at once, because that could potentially be a little overwhelming. So we want to, if you have a new puppy, you maybe want to do a couple one day and then a couple the next day, but don't just throw tons and tons of new stuff at a puppy super fast. Here is an example of the same thing. This is a tarp that these puppies came across in the middle of winter on my property, and this one's just eating some snow. But this tarp, it makes noise as she climbs around on it. It's elevated, all of that kind of stuff. So this is just, like I said, this is just kind of one example of how to do this. Okay, so I'm looking for my screen, how to make the video go away. So walking on new surfaces is one that I absolutely love. Now, another way to do this is to use masks and things that go on your head, right? So one of the things that our service dogs will come across is people wearing all kinds of different hats and sunglasses and clothes and things. So in this video, I'm kind of helping Leo be comfortable with different hats. So you can dig around in your closets or in your kids' closets, and you can find different props to put on your head. So this is that was a witch hat. This is a mask. It was Halloween when I filmed this, so I went to the Halloween store and bought some stuff. But you don't have to go out to do this. You can find anything you have laying around at home. So any type of hat, any type of mask, a scarf wrapped around your head or a scarf wrapped around your face up to here, your parka with the hood up, even something as silly as putting a dog bowl or a mixing bowl upside down on your head, or a cone on your head, or balancing a book on your head. It really doesn't have to be, this scary mask that I found at the store. It just has to be something that changes the shape of your head. And if you have a helper, then your helper can absolutely, help you as well. So in this video now, my mom is putting on putting on the hats and the masks so that Leo can see them on somebody other than me. So if you've got somebody else in your home, you've got a helper, then once your dog is comfortable with you wearing those items, you can have your helper wear those items as well. You can also dig into Christmas or Halloween decorations or children's toys that move on their own. This is this little reindeer, right? And he lights up and he moves and he shakes these little shakers. So this is just a really simple, single example of, I'm creating a good experience for Leo by handing him treats. We're trying to associate the treats with the moving object. He doesn't have to do anything specific. I don't need him to lay down or look at me or do anything specific like that. I just want him to create a good experience. So this was a Christmas decoration. A lot of Halloween decorations move. A lot of children's toys move on their own. But these things that move on their own is definitely a novel and weird experience for our dogs. Now, if Leo had been nervous about this, if he had shown any nerves at all, I would have made sure that there was a greater distance between him and the toy. So I would have put more space between him and the toy. I might have put the toy up on a table. I might have, started with the toy not moving. I might have chosen a prop that wasn't quite as moving quite so much. I might have found a quieter prop to start with. So if your dog shows any signs of anxiety or stress or anything like that, you want to just find a way to make the exercise easier, to make it a little bit just less. We want to take the intensity and we want to make it lower, basically. A tip from Janet, she said, today we listened to YouTube farm animal sounds. That's a good idea. I wouldn't have thought of that. I have my own horses and goats and chickens, so I wouldn't have even thought of that. That's an excellent idea. Farm animal sounds, that's one thing you can use YouTube for, right? Okay, so like I said, throw any questions you have into the comments and I'll answer them as we go, or I will save them for the end. But I've got a couple more ideas for you. So far we've got, sounds from YouTube, we've got walking on different surfaces, and we have masks and things that move on their own, children's toys, Halloween decorations, stuff like that. Then also you can dig into your recyclables. So you can do this with cardboard boxes. And in this video, I have a pile of cardboard boxes, and I'm just going to toss some treats in here for this puppy to find. And as he snuffles around and finds these treats, the cardboard boxes will move, and they will make noise, and they will, he'll build confidence that this new experience is good, and that things that move is good and fun, and he's getting his treats. This is something that can be quite stressful for some dogs in the beginning. They get a little bit nervous about this. So in that case, instead of having a whole pile of boxes, you may have just 1 or 2 boxes. So when I did this with my terrier for the first time, the one you saw on one of the videos a little bit ago, we had to start with 1 box laying on its side, with food outside the box because she wasn't even comfortable putting her head into the box to get the food. So we started with 1 box laying on its side, food outside of the box. And then when she was comfortable with that, we put the food inside the box a little bit. And then when she was comfortable with that, we added a 2nd box. And then when she was comfortable with that, we added a 3rd box. So we just took the intensity of this game and we just lowered it for her so that she could feel safe, so she could feel comfortable. If your dog doesn't feel safe and comfortable, then you aren't building a positive experience, right? And that is the goal. So then you can do a similar thing here, plastic bottles, that's the word I'm looking for. So here we have food in this box filled with plastic bottles, and this puppy is just snuffling around. Again, as he does this, you can see his head is surrounded by the bottles. They're going to make noise. They're going to move. This is an easy way to, again, create a novel experience for our dogs that is good. And when we have a dog who's nervous about this, we just start with a single layer of bottles on the floor so that they don't have to put their head into them. They just have to scoot the bottles around. So you just have to use a little bit of creativity with these exercises if your dog is just a little bit nervous, because we just want to take the intensity or the difficulty level and bring it down so that our dogs can be comfortable. But this puppy, of course, is just like, he just jumps right in and he starts to snuffle around and find his treats. So these are 2, just different ways to kind of just create a new experience for them, just something different. We want our dogs to become what we would call optimistic, right? So optimism is, of course, like a human label, but what it means is to assume that new experiences are good. And that is what we need from our service dogs, to assume new experiences are good. So while we can't get out to find new experiences out in the world, we just want to create new experience here in our homes that we can show our dogs are safe and fun. And then a more advanced one is this. Now, this again is my terrier, and you're going to see she does show quite a bit of stress here. And so I needed to make this easier for her, but it's the only video I could find, and I wanted to kind of show you guys. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to use shaping to teach her to knock over the box. So when she pushes the box, it will fall down. And then as she gets good at this, we can put multiple boxes up, or we could use multiple bowls. So when she pushes the bowl over, the bowl creates a clangy sound. So you can see she's nervous. She's a little bit nervous here. She's kind of wearing her safety legs. There's a little bit of a shake off. She's staying as far back as she can and still do the behavior. But I'm marking and reinforcing her just for touching the box. And what I'm using is shaping to teach her to push the box off the bowl. And then like I said, when she's really comfortable with this, then we might add a third box, or we might take multiple bowls and stack them up. At a really advanced level in this exercise, we have like a pyramid of bowls, or a pyramid of empty and washed aluminum cans, like a pyramid shape. And our dogs knock them over. And it creates a big clashing sound, but because we start super small, like you're seeing on this video, and build it slowly over time, it can become it actually builds their confidence, and we get a good association with things that move. We get a good association with things that make noise, stuff like that. So we start small, and then we build our way up. Sarah says, you missed the first bit of this. Will it be available afterwards? Yes. So the replay will stay up here after I'm done. So as soon as I'm done here, you let Facebook have a second, and then you can refresh the page, and you can watch from the beginning. This replay will stay up. Okay, so that's actually, that was my last one. So if you guys have any questions, throw them into the comments. Any questions about this stuff, throw them into the comments. My last tip for you is do not underestimate freedom walks. So freedom walks are something you've heard me talk about before. This is where we walk our dogs on a long line in a harness to allow for free movement. I have a video about this on this page. I'll make sure to put the link in the description of this video when we're done here. So that if you don't know what a freedom walk is, then you can watch that video and you can learn all about it. But a freedom walk is really where we like to walk our dogs on a long line in a harness so that they have freedom of movement, right? So that they can move out ahead of us, so they can sniff, so they can do all these things. And if you are in an area of the country or the world where you can still get outside, even if you can't get into like public stores right now, freedom walks can be great, because along with being, a way to de-stress for you and your dog and all of that stuff, it also allows your dog to walk on new surfaces, to explore new environments. So you can go to all the different parks in your area. You could go to empty parking lots. You can go to those types of places. So even if you can't, like I said, if you're in an area of the country or the world where you can get outside, but you can't get into stores, then freedom walks are actually huge. And so don't underestimate them. They seem like, that's just for de-stressing and for exercise and whatever. But actually, when you go to different places, you hit different parks and you hit different parking lots. That can be a really solid way to introduce a dog to new places and new experiences and keep them comfortable in new places. So do not underestimate the power of those freedom walks during this time, both for your dog, but also for you, because getting out, getting some fresh air, spending some time de-stressing with your dog can only help all of us. But, okay, so we've got a couple questions. So Joe wants to know, and I'll just shoot this up here. Okay. How do you work on dog distractions since we can't go places with our dogs? So that's going to be one of those things, there are going to be a few things we're not going to be able to work on until we can get out and about again. So working with other dogs might just not be something it might be something you have to put on hold. But putting some things on hold for a few weeks here is not going to be detrimental to your dog's training. What I'm recommending is that you do what you can to keep your dog's training moving forward at home. And some things are going to have to just be paused. And when we all get to move around freely again, once the world starts to go back to normal, then you'll be able to work with other dogs. But we are going to talk about distractions and keeping that type of training moving forward. We're actually going to do that in a separate live. So stay tuned, because sometime in the next few days, I'll be coming live again, and we're going to talk very specifically about ways to continue proofing our behaviors or introducing our behaviors to distractions, even when you can't leave the home. So dogs are something, we may have to pause because we can't get out. We can't if we can't do it, we can't do it, and that's okay. Our dogs are generally much more resilient than we give them credit for. We are gonna do the best that we can, and we're gonna keep our training moving forward. And if at the end of this, some of us see some backsliding in our dog's behaviors, that's okay. You're going to handle it, and I have full faith that you can handle it. So if this coronavirus, all the shelter-in-place orders and all the limits on where we can go, if we do see some backslides in your dog's behavior, that's okay. You're going to handle it, and you're going to be fine. I promise. But we are going to talk about proofing, and we're going to talk about distractions in another live, so just stay tuned for that one. Okay, so then Shelly says, how young should we start this? So a whole walk would be the backyard for this teeny tiny thing. Yeah. So freedom walks, of course, are going to be, and you put in the comments, vaccines are taken into account. So freedom walks, you can start a freedom walk at any age. Of course, think about vaccines and where you take your dog. Speak to your vet about that if you have any questions. And then it's more the length of the freedom walk. So like when Leo was only an 8-week-old puppy, our freedom walks were like maybe 10 minutes. We would like go to a park and we would explore for 10 minutes, and then he would be exhausted and we would go home. Whereas with an older dog like Leo now, his freedom walks, we can walk forever. I think we could do an all-day freedom walk and he wouldn't be tired. So it's more going to be the length of the freedom walk that matters. And then the other exercises that we've talked about today, I think you can start any of those with a puppy. You just want to start, little. So we want to be creating good experiences, and we want to take the intensity of the exercise and lower it. So, like I said, for YouTube videos, for example, if we're going to play sounds for our dogs, starting the sounds low enough that our dogs can be comfortable, or our puppies can be comfortable, and then slowly making them louder. Any one of the exercises we talked about today, starting where the intensity is lower or the difficulty level is lower, and then slowly making it more difficult. So it's not so much that you have to wait until your dog is a certain age, although Shelly, I know you have like a litter of puppies at home. So I'm going to say probably 8 weeks. Some of these things could be started around 6 or 7 weeks. And actually walking on new surfaces could be started at any time. So here I go saying, 8 weeks, and that's probably not even true. But with puppies under 8 weeks, because I know you have a litter of puppies at home, then you're going to need to take that even younger age into account. So how do you're just going to want to modify these again for puppies that are even smaller and even younger. Okay, but yeah, so it's really not about waiting until they're a certain age, as it is about taking the exercise and making it appropriate for a smaller dog or a younger dog or a more nervous dog. Like Leo, he has been afraid of one thing his entire life. And so for Leo, when we do something like, if I introduced him to this one, where we have the pile of cardboard boxes for the first time, I would probably just pile up the boxes like this and throw some treats in, because he is so confident and so optimistic. Whereas, like I said, with my Izzy, my little terrier, she gets nervous. And so for her, I would start with the exercise very small, just one box, see how she does, and then slowly increase the difficulty from there. Okay. And then, yeah, Kathy says, my dog just turned 2 this past Friday. Would the sound thing be a good idea for her? I think that these are good ideas for all dogs of all ages. So you just want to adjust it for your dog's age and experience level. But if you have an older dog and you've not introduced them to sounds, or even if you have, but you're not able to get out, I think that it's really valuable at this time to continue exposing our service dogs in training to as much novelty as we can from home, so that they don't get too much into like a little rut, for it, like as an example, right? I want Leo to continue to have new experiences as much as possible and to continue to experience new things as much as possible, even though we can't totally get out and totally go anywhere. So I think that answered your question, right? So I think that these are valuable of dogs from any age. And then, some of our dogs, we're going to do, I think, a separate live on this topic as well, which is kind of boredom busters for our dogs who are, cooped up at home more with us if we're not able to get out as much as normal. But all of these things are great ways just to keep your dog busy. So if your dog is, a little bored because you're not walking him as often as you usually do, then I think that these are already, that these are great ways to help keep your dogs occupied as well. Okay, so I'm not seeing any more questions. If you have any questions, if you're watching the replay and you have any questions, you can always throw them into the comments, and you can also throw comments or questions into the into our Facebook group, Train Your Service Dog with Confidence, as well, and there's something else. Oh, and I'd love to see videos. So I'd love to see you guys post videos of you trying these things with your dogs in our Facebook group, Train Your Service Dog with Confidence. I would love, love, love to see how you guys are implementing these, any other unique ideas you have for keeping novelty alive in your own home. I would love to see all of that, especially inside of our Facebook group. So give these exercises a try with your own dog and shoot us a video, upload them to our Facebook group, and let us see how it's going. Okay, so I see a couple more questions, so we'll go through these quick. Okay, so Eileen has a question. What about building confidence when it comes to flying on a plane? Okay, so I would still start with these exercises, and then it's a little bit outside the scope of what we're talking about today, because in order to really prepare for flying on a plane, we need to be able to leave our homes. And so a lot of us aren't able to leave our homes right now, which is the topic of this video. But, once you can leave your home again, I really like to, before I do any kind of airline travel with a dog, I highly recommend other types of public transportation. It's not a perfect way to, there's nothing you can do that's going to perfectly simulate an airplane. But riding on a bus, in a taxi where you have to have your dog on the floor, or where, put your dog on the floor for training. But, so those are really great ways to prepare your dog for air travel. But I also like the things we talked about in this video, because as a service dog, there are some things you are never going to be able to fully prepare your dog for, like flying on an airplane. We can prepare them for, the long settle. I can prepare my dog to sit in one place for 2 hours. I can prepare my dog to have to walk in a narrow aisle, and I can prepare my dog for, the security and having to go through the metal detectors and all that. But I'm never going to be able to perfectly simulate what an airplane does, especially during takeoff and landing. So instead, what I'm trying to do is to create a service dog who is generally optimistic and sees new things as good things, so that even though I can't prepare them for every, a tiny example, I want to have introduced them to as much novelty as possible and hopefully created, like a personality trait. This is where we kind of get into this fuzziness of labels in our dogs and things. But I want to see a dog who sees a new experience and displays confident, happy body language. And I start that, you do that by introducing them to as much novelty as possible and creating as many new experiences as possible. Okay, so then I see couple more questions. Okay, so Janet says, freedom walks with a 65-pound Finn are a challenge because he wants to pull. I spend more time standing still than moving forward. Any tips? Okay, so for anybody watching, again, I'm going to put the link to our Freedom Walk video in the description of this video when I'm done here, so you can find that video and you can get all the information about them there. But Janet, for your specific question, one thing I'm going to recommend is gloves to protect your hands just in case. And the second thing is that it just takes a little bit of time. So double check your line handling mechanics, that you are letting the line out when you can and when you need to, and reeling the line back in every time you have an opportunity. So every time your dog stops to sniff, if for an example, reel your line back in. So make sure your line handling skills are solid. And then the third thing really is just consistency. So as you continue to do freedom walks, your dog will start to learn that you're not going anywhere on a tight leash. And that's something that some dogs, it just takes a little bit of time. And some consistency, but in my experience, they do all figure it out. So I've had some dogs that I have introduced to freedom walks for the first time who do what you're saying. They just pull a lot. I spend a lot of time standing still and not going anywhere. And over the course of a few weeks, they tend to they figure it out. With consistency, they figure it out. But double check that your line handling skills are on target as well, because that will help with that. And then, of course, if you have follow-up questions, a great thing to do is to throw videos into our free Facebook group, Train Your Service Dog with Confidence, because then we can help you out. And Eileen, I haven't, Eileen has kind of a follow-up that's what I was going to say. YouTube videos of planes would be good. Oh, and the car wash. Actually, that's a good idea. So Eileen says the car wash is something we can do now. That is an excellent tip. So this is also what I do. I have somebody else drive me around so that I'm in the passenger seat. My dog is on the floor. When the world goes back to normal, you can utilize public transportation as well to prepare for airplanes. YouTube videos are a great idea. And then going through the car wash, that's also an excellent idea and definitely something you can do now. I would highly recommend that if you're going to go through a car wash for the first time, that you have somebody drive you so that your hands are free to reinforce your dog and create a good experience, because some dogs are going to be quite potentially freaked out about going through a car wash, and you want to make that as a positive of an experience as possible. Okay, and then I thought we had one more question. Okay, Carrie has a question. So I've noticed Ollie has a pretty extreme reaction to loud, strange noises, like the garbage can in the driveway or big wheels in the driveway. He runs to the other direction and whines. I take him as far as he needs to get comfortable. Do I start with indoor confidence building, then try to acclimate him to loud outdoor noises? I would. When we have a dog who's nervous about sounds of any kind, I would definitely start with these general confidence boosting exercises we talked about today. I would try YouTube recordings of different noises, start them low, very low at volume wise, and then slowly make them louder. And I think that could be extremely helpful for you. You also have options like classical conditioning, and you have options like the Look at That game, or some people call the Engage, Disengage game. That could be really, really helpful. As well. So those are some great other, things for you to look up and work on. Okay. But yes. So anyway, the short answer, yes. Start with all the things we talked about today, including YouTube video recordings. So if you joined us late, make sure that you hit the replay so you can watch the whole thing from beginning to end. All right, well, I think that's going to be it then. Like I said earlier, if you have any questions and you're watching the replay, or any questions when we get off here, throw them into the comments. And I would love to see videos of you guys giving these things a try inside our free Facebook group, Train Your Service Dog with Confidence. And if I miss your question, because there's always a delay between when I talk and when you hear me and when you put your comment in. If I miss your question because you're typing it now, I will get you an answer, I promise. But we'd love to see videos inside our Facebook group. All right, guys, have a great night.